It's time for Success in Real Estate with Frankie Griffin, owner and broker in charge of the Palmetto Success Team, certified residential specialist, accredited buyer representative, military relocation professional, real estate appraiser, and author of Success in Real Estate. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, or having your home appraised, you will enjoy Success in Real Estate. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
All right, good morning again, everybody. Welcome to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge and appraiser in South Carolina. And as always, I'm always so thankful that you're listening and joining in. And, you know, business or real estate business has just taken off, which is not that I'm surprised it has taken off, but I am a little surprised how early. So many buyers are out there looking and buying houses right now. Usually it's around the April, May time frame when you start seeing the activity that we're seeing now. So this is a good thing, obviously, for anybody looking to buy or sell their house. And we would love the opportunity to help you and work with you if you're wanting to sell your house. In fact, that's sort of what we're going to be talking about today. A little bit about what buyers are looking for today. It's a little bit different, as well as what you need to do as the property owner to get your property ready to go on the market. Because I just got to tell you that this is where the big problem a lot of homeowners face when they put their house on the market. The house is just not ready, and we're seeing this over and over and over again. And that initial moment or initial time when you put the house on the market, that's when we need to have it's got to be ready, because that's where you're going to attract the most activity. Buyers are going to be looking, and you don't want to miss the opportunity by not having the house ready. So we're going to hit on some of that stuff, talk about it. And before I get into it, I just want to remind everybody, if it's something that you do or would like to have some help with in buying or selling, please give us a call. The Palmetto Success Team, we are a true team. There's 4 of us, myself and 3 other partners, and we all do specific things. We specialize in different areas, but we all work together. So in essence, you get 4 qualified realtors, professional agents that are going to help you in that buying or selling process. And, you know, you can go to my website. I think you'll find most of the information you may be interested in right there. Just frankiegriffin.com. Just www.frankiegriffin.com. And give us a call. We'd love to help you. So let's start out with looking at or talking about some things that buyers are really or very much interested in today when they're out looking at homes. And I found this list on Realty Times yesterday, and it's what buyers are looking for. And some of this is a little bit different, I think, a little bit new anyway. But the first thing they talk about is the granite countertops, which is for the last several years has just sort of gone crazy. Everybody wants granite countertops. In fact, it's expected today in the kitchen, but not so much today. Y'all, today buyers are wanting and looking for quartz countertops, and I thought that's a little bit different. So if you're looking at redoing your kitchen, you might want to consider, instead of going with granite, maybe look at quartz, because that's what buyers are looking for according to this poll. The second thing that buyers are looking for, especially the younger buyers, are what we call smart homes. And I'm sure you've probably seen some of these TV commercials where you can be away from your house or out of town, and you can adjust, lock your doors, turn your heat on, and all that just from your smartphone. And buyers are looking for that. They like that, especially the young crowd today. They are I guess you'd call it technologically advanced, and they're expecting to see this kind of stuff in homes if you want it to sell fast. The third thing they've got on here are the stainless steel appliances, and now that's been a big thing for quite a while now. And according to this poll, this is not going to change. This trend won't change anytime soon. So if you're buying or replacing any appliances, it looks like your best bet, at least for future market purposes, would be to go with stainless steel. The fourth thing they're looking for in the yard are fire pits in the backyard. A lot of people like to be able to sit around the fire when it's kind of cool, and like today would be a nice day to have a fire pit for sure if you're going to be outside. But no, people like that. It's a nice focal point in the yard, and just a place where some friends can sit around and talk and have fun. That's a big thing for buyers. Well, sort of hand in hand with that, a lot of buyers also like these outdoor kitchens. And I've got a cooker outside, so maybe that's an outdoor kitchen. I don't know if that. Not sure what all the requirements are to qualify for an outdoor kitchen, whether you got to have the sink, the stove, and all that stuff. But I don't think there's a big market for that in this area. I know there are some, but not a whole lot. But the other one that you do tend to see buyers looking for, and I've seen this a lot myself, but now buyers are more interested when they go in the bathroom. They like to see these freestanding tubs. For years, we got away from that. One, for space, to save space, would have the tub shower combo, which kind of saves space, especially if you had a small bathroom. But that's not what buyers are most interested in today. They like the freestanding tub, separate shower. And obviously, anytime you can update the bathrooms and kitchens, that's always going to be a good return on the investment. And in fact, I have some statistics to actually show what that return on the investment would be for several things. And if we have time, we'll get into some of that today.
And now, the Mortgage Update with Erica Hill West on Success in Real Estate.
And it is time for our mortgage update with our mortgage go-to gal, Miss Erica Hill West. How you doing, Miss Erica?
I'm doing well, and yourself, Frankie, besides being cold?
Oh, it is freezing outside.
It is chilly.
But Brian has it nice and toasty here in the studio, so
oh, good.
It is just wonderful. I don't know why Jerry's standing over there with his jacket and hands in his pocket, but it is just nice.
But I'm glad you're comfortable there.
Well, what's been going on? What kind of news can you share with us today? Anything good?
We saw a little bit of movement up and down with the rates this week, but that doesn't mean that rates still aren't great, because they are. We just saw them be a little bit more volatile in the market this week, where they had kind of been steadily going down. We saw them come up a little bit, but they're still wonderful. If you can get a mortgage in mid to high threes to low fours, I say that it's a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I think we actually touched on this a little bit either last week or the week before, but the buyers are out big time right now. A lot of people are looking to buy right now.
And you know what I'm running into?
What is that?
There's not enough inventory.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right, and which has got a lot to do with why you're starting to see these values start going up. It's just, it's the supply and demand theory. And I'm thinking we're starting to see the buyers come out because of this. I think most people know that traditionally the big selling season, if you will, starts around the springtime and all the way through the summer, which obviously that's when you're probably going to be paying the most for a house. Right. So why not? Let's try to beat that a little bit and save a few bucks.
And it's a smart strategy, except for when you've been looking for 2 weeks and there's nothing on the market.
You're right. And
I cannot tell you how many people, I'll check in with them periodically just to see how things are going, especially, I'm used to having someone pre-qualified and within a week having a contract. Mm-hmm. And so when I don't hear anything from the agent and the buyer, I get nervous and I just start following up, and they're like, we've been out, every night of the week or every weekend, and we just can't seem to find anything that they really are crazy about. And, it's not just a one-time occurrence. It's multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are real estate agents listening, please go back through your inventory and send out some information to your previous clients and ask them if they're thinking about selling.
Yeah.
That would be a great activity
Absolutely.
right now to kind of spur people into the spring and catapult us into that season.
You're right. And then, of course, you're going to have some that have their home on the market right now saying, well, what would... I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not seeing that. I don't have very many people looking at my house or haven't gotten any offers yet. Well, there are some things we need to look at there, and first of all, if it's not being shown, we definitely need to look at it. And
absolutely.
it could, and I'll just tell you, it's usually going to be one of two things. One, the pictures that they're looking at does not look worth going to look at. And this is why it's so important to have professional photography, like obviously Jerry Bilton does. But the other thing is price. And if
I would agree.
If you've got it overpriced, then not even going to look.
That's right. I mean, and people need to realize that most people this day and age do a majority of their shopping online, even for their houses.
Mm-hmm.
Even for their houses. So if they don't have something that draws them in by what you're putting out to the mass population, that's probably why you're not getting any bite.
You're right. And in something you said just a moment ago, like last year, for example, every time a buyer would contact me about looking at a house, they already knew what house they wanted to find. They've already been online shopping and already found it. Now they're calling like, we can't find anything. Do you know of anything available in this price range or in this area? And you're right, the inventory is just very low right now.
Yeah,
so
it is. So, I mean, that should be, I think that's going to signal two things, and this is what, people really need to listen to, is that when more inventory comes on the market, not only you think that's going to just open up all these choices. No, what happens is then you have more people that are wanting the same property.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be good to start going ahead and looking, getting pre-qualified, creating that relationship with your real estate agent if you don't have one, and start looking and being asked what's coming on the market, every couple weeks. Because if there's something now, you don't need to wait to be in a bidding war with four people in 4 months.
You're right about that.
You don't.
Well, Eric, let me ask
you. It's a lose-lose-lose.
You're right. Well, let me ask you this in the time we've got left. And this is something we talk about a lot, even when we're in the classroom. But, let's say I get an offer. I'm working for the seller, and we get an offer, and attached to the offer is the pre-approval letter. And let's just say for this instance, they had talked to you, and you've provided a pre-approval letter. Now, if I'm the listing agent and I contact you, how much information can you tell me about that buyer's loan because what I'm really interested in as the seller's agent, well, I just want to know, first of all, have they applied for a loan, and can they do what they've offered to do?
Well, this is a very interesting situation because once you have a ratified contract, there is a clause in the contract that I believe the buyer does give consent.
Yep.
For me to discuss specific things about the transaction, not necessarily about their credit.
Right.
And so I can tell them, they've applied, we're in underwriting, we've ordered the appraisal, everything looks good. And I can even, once they come out of underwriting, I can send that agent and all parties a commitment letter that states that we are committing to give them the loan.
Really?
That's well within the rights of what the buyer has agreed to per the contract, and where I am not compromising any of their private or financial information.
You might be the first lender I've ever heard say that we will actually provide a commitment letter.
Yes.
Because I don't think most will do that.
I don't think most people actually give commitment letters.
I've never seen one.
Well, I can send you an example, and it really goes. It's quite detailed.
Because a commitment letter, you're saying you got to loan that money now.
Yeah.
And I don't think many lenders will do that. And if they have, I don't know who they are. I've certainly never seen that, but that would be awesome to have.
It's really cool because ours will actually tell you what the conditions are.
Yeah.
Proof of furnace money. Set up your homeowner's insurance. And that really does give all parties kind of a peace of mind when they look at that and there's nothing funky on there like provide funds to close.
Okay. Well, we're about out of time, but in 5 seconds, what's your phone number? How can we get in touch with you, Erica?
You can call me at 803-528-5019.
And what I want to talk about in this segment are some things that if you're a homeowner and you're getting ready or thinking about putting your house on the market, you're going to be hiring an agent, some things I think is certainly worth a lot of consideration when you're doing this. But, one is the listing appointment, if you will. And I always recommend talk to at least 2 or 3 agents about selling your home. Make sure you find out exactly what kind of services they can offer, what they provide, just to make sure you're getting the right agent. Now, obviously, we would like to be one of those agents you talk to, but the way I like to do this when I'm initially going on a listing appointment, if you want to call it that, and I got to tell you, and I don't even like using the word listing because I find, and rightfully so, nobody wants their home listed, and there's a difference between listing a home and selling a home. Anybody can list it, but what are you going to do to ensure that it gets sold? And I think that's the big difference that we want to certainly focus on while we're talking. But I like to make this listing a presentation or appointment, if you want to call it that, a 2-step process. And the first time we meet is what I consider the let's get to know each other meeting, if you will. I do want to come out, take a tour of the home, take some pictures. I actually would like to measure the house, and by the way, whatever agent you go with, if they don't measure that house or have somebody come out and measure it, you might want to think very hard about that, because I'm going to tell you that this is an area that can cause a lot of problems potentially if you or your agent post in the MLS a square footage, and you have to put the heated square footage, and sometimes heated square footage is not all what you might think it is. Just because it's heated does not mean it qualifies as heated square footage, but it's just absolutely critical to know what the right square footage is. In fact, the law does require that any information provided absolutely must be verified. And there's only one way I know of to verify square footage, and that's it. And somebody has to measure it. And so that's one of the things I like to do on the first meeting is get the measurements, make sure I know exactly what I'm dealing with. But then we'll talk about what I do, how I do it. Like to hear from you what your goals, what your expectations are, because an important question I do like to ask homeowners is, would it be a correct assumption on my part to assume you'd like to sell your house by getting the absolute most you can get for it in your area in the shortest amount of time possible? And that's usually what most people are looking for. They want the most they can get in a short amount of time possible, but that's not the case for everybody, for all homeowners. I'll have some owners say, well, obviously I want the most I can get, but I'm in absolutely no hurry. In fact, if it doesn't sell, we can live with that too. But they know what they want for it, and they'll sell it if they can get that, and if not, then they'll just keep it. And that's all well and good, but those are things I need to know. I need to understand what your goals and objectives are to make sure we've implemented the right marketing strategy to meet your needs. But the second let me back up to the first meeting. The other thing I like to do is I will provide you with a binder that will have every single document, contract, piece of paperwork that you might have to see or encounter at some point during the sales transaction, and I'll just leave blank copies there, and so that you can go over it. I'd be very leery of any agent that showed up the first meeting, with any kind of expectation of you signing an agreement for them to list a house, and you haven't had time to even look at the agreement, much less read it. So I want to leave copies of all the documents, just blank documents, so that you'll have time to look over them, read over them, write down some questions about something you're not sure about. But then in the second meeting, we'll make sure you understand everything about every document and all the contracts, so that you know exactly what you're agreeing to. And I think that's very important. The other thing I will then be able to tell you on that second meeting is how much your house is worth, or what the fair market value is at this moment. And again, I'd be very leery of the agent that shows up on that first meeting and they already know how much your house is worth, or they give you this range or whatever. Because, I got to tell you, I know appraisers can't do that. Appraisers cannot just show up to a house that they've never seen before and know what it's worth. And how some real estate agents got to be so good, I'm not sure. But I would certainly question how they were able to determine what it was worth before they ever even looked at it. So, again, I think we need at least 2 meetings. One, to get to know each other, fact gathering, information gathering type session. And then in the second meeting, we can now, after having crunched all the numbers, we can sort of talk with a lot more clarity on what the house is worth, what we can do, how long it's going to take to sell. Those kind of things I think are just very important. And, and then what kind of marketing plan are we going to employ here? And obviously, every single house is different, but there are some basic things that I think are just absolutely necessary, and it starts with the photography. In fact, I mentioned this earlier in the last segment, but in this day and time, when everybody is doing their shopping online, they're looking at pictures, why in the world would you have less than an awesome photograph of any part of your home? That just makes no sense, and I'm telling you, it'll turn buyers away in a hurry. And I'm going to pick on a client of mine, and I do this because he's not just a client, he's a good friend. I've known him for many, many years, so I don't mind embarrassing him on the radio. So, but he took some pictures of his house, knowing that he was going to be putting it on the market, with his own camera, and he was all proud of it. And he put it out there on Facebook and letting everybody know he's getting ready to sell his house, and which is all well and good. And then he found out I was bringing in my professional, Jerry Bilton, with Eagle Photography. And then first thing he asked, "Why are you doing that? I've already got pictures." And long story short, because Brian said I'm running out of time, but Jerry took these pictures, and then we compared what Jerry took to what my friend took, and his jaw just dropped. It was just totally amazing, the difference in the photographs. And it may very well be, until you actually see what a professional photograph looks like, you may think yours looks okay, until you put it up beside what something should look like. And then you realize Jerry does an awesome job, and highly recommend you contact him. If there's something I can do for you, either help you sell your house or help you buy a house, or maybe you just want to get your home appraised, give me a call. My cell phone is 315-7303. Again, the area code's 803-315-7303. 7303, and I'd love to help you any way I can. And we were talking before the break on some marketing things I think would be very useful, just at a minimum, on any property. And the first thing I highly recommend is get the house appraised. Know what the property or market value is, and you're going to find that's going to be a huge marketing tool. And depending on what all is required of that appraisal, I think you're going to find the cost of the appraisal is going to save you a lot of money, because buyers tend to make much better offers when they're confident on what the house is worth. So if there's any confusion on what the house may be worth, then seller, you're probably not going to like the offer you get from that buyer, because they're going to be very, very conservative. The other thing I think is very important is to have a pre-home inspection. Obviously, we use David DuBose. He is, in my opinion, the best of the business. He's been doing it for a long time. He teaches it. He's the president of the Home Inspectors Association here in South Carolina, and he just does an awesome job. And I have a lot of sellers will ask why. I mean, what's the point? And quite frankly, there's some hesitancy there, and I get that. And because if there's a problem with the house, I really don't want to know about it, quite frankly. And whether you as the property owner come out and say it or not, I know. I'm a property owner, and I'm the same way. If there's problems, I'd rather not know about it. However, if there is a problem, one thing we have learned, bad news will not get better with time. So if there's a problem, you're going to find out about it one way or another. The problem is, when you find out after the fact, it's because the buyers had their home inspection, and see, now you've already locked yourself into a sales price. You've backed yourself into the corner. The contract's already been agreed to, and you're stuck selling it for what you've agreed to sell it for. And now they're wanting these things, whatever they found, to be repaired on top of it. Well, if we go ahead and identify potential issues in advance, then we can go ahead and if it's something that needs repaired, then let's go ahead and get it repaired. And again, it's going to help you a lot more, or it's going to help you greatly when you see what your net is going to be selling the house. It's going to help you an awful lot. And again, another significant marketing tool for the homeowner, because buyers like to see that kind of stuff. Even if I'm representing the buyer and the seller had a pre-home inspection done, I know most of the home inspectors, I think, around town. And even though it might not have been one I would have personally picked or used, if I know them, then it's a good chance, I'm not worried about it. I can look at my client and say, look, I know who this person is, and I know they're going to do a good job. There are a lot of good home inspectors out there. And so that will help us when we're making our offer, because now we have a much better idea of the condition of the property. We know what the house is worth. You now can expect to get a much stronger offer from the buyer. Then the other thing I think we provide is a home warranty that covers, obviously, the seller. From the time the house goes on the market right up until closing, it will be covered under warranty if anything should go wrong. And then we also provide the buyer's warranty for 1 year after closing. And these are things we provide. You will not have to pay for these things, homeowner. And I think you'll find by putting yourself or putting your home in that situation, you're going to attract the buyers, because we put all this stuff out there on the website. It's on the MLS, so they can see it. And now they're going to be much more interested in looking at your home. I know it works very, very well. And sure, you will be pleased with that. Now, obviously, there's some other things we can and will do depending on the situation in terms of marketing, and we can go over that together, and we'll agree on how to do that. The last thing I just want to mention about the listing and marketing piece there, just I think a very important question to any agent you're going to be talking to is just ask the agent a very simple question. Agent, how much does it cost to sell my home? And as soon as, and I can just about tell you the answer, well, that depends. Okay, that's fine. I get that. Well, let's hear it. What's it depend on? And at the end of when you get finished, I want you to tell me how much is it going to cost to sell my home. Because if the agent can't tell you how much it costs, then how can they quote you a price on what they're going to charge you? I mean, how do I know what to charge you in commission if I don't know what it costs to sell it? I've never understood that theory, but with the Palmetto Success Team, we're going to go through, crunch all the numbers, so whatever you pay in commission, you will know in advance where every single penny is being spent. That's what I call accounting. It's a fiduciary or legal obligation the agent owes, so make sure they're providing that. Get a full accounting for every penny that you and that agent agree to in terms of commission. And then the last thing I just sort of will touch on in very little bit of time we have left, when it comes to the negotiating, please understand and make sure your agent understands there is a difference between making a counteroffer and negotiating. They are not the same thing. And just because you make a counteroffer and email it back to the other party, that's not negotiating. Negotiating is sitting down with the other party, which is what agents are supposed to get paid for. Sit down and let's work out the details. Because I don't understand how you can even consider a counteroffer, much less make a counteroffer, until we find out what's negotiable and what's not. Without that, it's just a shot in the dark, and usually it's going to turn out not good. You're not going to hit your target, and everybody's going to be upset and go the wrong way. But anyway, we're about out of time, but I'm going to give you my cell phone one more time. Love to hear from you if there's anything we can help you with. My cell phone is 803-315-7303. Again, 315-7303. Again, the Palmetto Success Team. We are there to work for you. Go to my website, frankiegriffin.com. I think you'll find all your information. But please have a very safe, warm weekend. Thank you for listening to Success in Real Estate on the Point.